Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our finals recap. We got Cardell Dudley Jr. this morning. I'm Wilson Tarpet Jr. This series continues to get interesting. Last time we talked to you guys, OKC was busy evening the series in their second game at home. They lost the first one to Indiana. Indiana was at home last night for the first of two, and they took care of business. Some of the things that Cardell you touched on last game, Indiana checked a lot of those boxes last night as they got that W. So Tyrese a little bit more aggressive. They got Siakam going early. Another thing they did was they took care of the ball a little bit better than they did in the past two games. And the points in the paint. Saw them getting into the paint a little bit more and actually finishing. But the others, the bench, huge in this game. We talk all the time talking about role players and how important it is and how they can swing a series and whatnot. Obviously, put the Pacers up only one game, but hell of a performance from that second unit last night. Your thoughts on what happened in Indianapolis?
Yeah, man. Rick Carlisle, hell of a coach. One of the all-time great coaches. He made a lot of adjustments. A couple things he did. He pressured Shea more consistent as soon as he got the ball, instead of mixing it up where he can get downhill and split the traps and stuff. He pressured him. He threw numerous defenders at him to pressure him 94 feet to wear him down. And you can see, like in this clip, at the end of the fourth quarter, it wore on him. And that's what you do with great players who are always on the ball. That's why you seen, as career advanced, like say Michael Jordan or whatnot, Pippen was the primary ball handler and he was more off the ball. And now you gotta pay attention to where he's at, and that plays into his favor. And with that and the combination of him kind of operating out but operating more out of the mid and low post, conserve energy, and he was able to sustain a high level of play throughout the game and eventually close. But the other thing they did was they took Tyrese Halliburton off the ball. In case my point, like Michael Jordan, they allowed Nembhard, T.J. McConnell, they allow other guys to kind of just push the ball up the court, which kept Halliburton fresh. They couldn't key in on him, and he was still playing point, but they would just give him the ball in the half court to let him run and dictate the offense instead of bringing the ball up court where OKC can lock in on their defense and try to suffocate them, shut them down, limiting him, all that good stuff. So that was a great adjustment in itself. And it worked because it made them have to, again, you got to pay attention to your guy, but look for the guy, where he at, you know what I'm saying? And that's tough. And that's why you saw a lot, especially in the first half, when Halliburton, TJ McConnell, they got into the paint and you think they going for a layup, or you think they're going for a layup, and somebody's cutting right down the lane and they just finding them, they get easy baskets and points. That's what that was. They were attacking from different angles and from different spots on the floor instead of at the top of the key, which against a great defense, that's very hard to do. You gotta move around, man. You gotta give them a mix. You gotta mix up how you attack them. You can't keep giving not just great defenders, but a great team defense the same looks, because they're gonna win that battle. And you saw that, man. Mathurin was a huge recipient of a lot of those paint touches from the guards because he was cutting even baseline. He was cutting baseline. Look, whenever paint touches out, that's why every coach at every level they really preach, get in the paint, because it forces the defense to have to collapse, or it's going to be a layup drill or a floater drill. It's going to be easy baskets. So when they collapse, somebody is open, but you don't necessarily have to stand out on the perimeter waiting for the ball to come to shoot a jumper. You can just cut and get the easy basket, and that's what they did. So now OKC, instead of digging down and then jumping back out at three-point shooters, now they looking around, they kind of in no man's land, like, should I go back out to the three-point shooter, or is my man cutting behind me? And by the time they turn around, your man gone, he turn around, he laying the ball up or dunking. So that was a hell of an adjustment from the team and Rick Carlisle, and also their pace. They play their game. And a big part of that was because Patrick Siakam got going again. They need him. He can't struggle like he did in the first two games. He got back to looking like Siakam. He got going. Obviously, Mathurin was big off the bench. T.J. McConnell was a hell of a spark plug with his defense and timely steals, and facilitating and scoring timely baskets. Obviously, his defense is going to be the constant. And then it allowed Tyrese Halliburton to just play a natural floor game. You know what I mean? And that's how they were able to win this game. Like when you turn, and then OKC uncharacteristically, they was turning the ball over. Can't turn the ball over against the Pacers. When they get out and run, that's when they beat your ass. And that's pretty much what happened today. And it was already in the dogfight with them operating in the half court. So now you give them second looks and second opportunities with your turnovers and stuff, man. That's why they won. They pulled away in the fourth quarter, man. 19 turnovers from OKC led to 21 points from Indiana. I mean, look, it speaks for itself, man. Then you combine that with the 49 bench points from Indiana to 18 from OKC. That's tough. You're not overcoming that on the road, and that's why we always say players play different on the road than they do at home, man. Especially the role players. And then also, again, I felt like they just did a good job of. Just pressuring SGA. And now OKC is gonna have to make some adjustments because I think they figured out SGA at the top. And if you look at the defenders from the Pacers when they guard SGA, from Nembhard, McConnell, and all them, when he make a tough basket, they just run back down court and ain't nothing bothering them. And that's how you break a tough defense. See, tough defenses break a lot of teams because they get frustrated. Certain players get frustrated. They break away. They miss a few shots. They start turning the ball over, and they lose trust. And they start to try to force things, which plays into the great defense's hands, and they stop executing. Whereas the top teams like Indiana, you break a great defense by continuing to execute, whether you making shots or not. Because now the defense, like, man, these dudes not going away, and they're not going away. In the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, you got them on their heels because you ain't going away. You still execute, you succeed, and sometimes you score, sometimes, and now they got something to think about. And that's how you break a great defense, man. And once they see whatever they're doing is not working, you still execute, you staying within the game plan, and you get your fair share of plays. They start doubting what they're doing, and that's what you basically saw with OKC, man, late, which is uncharacteristic for them. And the thing is, they as a team, their splits with 46, 45, 76. Those are good enough splits on the road to win the game. But again, turnovers. Also, let me look at their defensive rating. 114.1, which in this day and age is pretty good. But for them, it's not good. And against the Pacers, obviously it wasn't good for game good enough for game 3 because the Pacers defense was on. They made some adjustments defensively. Their defensive rating was a 104.7. And one thing they also did with SGA, they just blitzed them on the traps. They didn't allow him. Every now and then he kind of split it, but they made that man work on everything. Then they made him work a lot harder trying to navigate those traps and stuff than he was doing in OKC, man. And you gotta look at it. 6 free throw attempts for SGA. That you'll take that any day. Like, he didn't get to the line that much, so he wasn't able to dictate things, put fouls on people, and generate free points to help OKC kind of maintain and seize the momentum or whatever, man. So, hell of an adjustment from the Pacers, Rick Carlisle and the staff, and that's why this series is so exciting, because you're gonna get a hell of a chess match game to game.
Yeah, to your point, talking about the Pacers got to dictate the terms. The second and fourth quarter of this game, all Indiana. Huge by Indiana too. They closed the first half well. They closed the second half well. 32-18 finishing kick in the fourth quarter. Closed the first half 40 freaking points, 40-point quarter. In the finals, you're doing what you're supposed to do. And again, only gave up 28 that quarter. OKC's going to score. Miles Turner was huge in this game. Not going to show crazy in the box score. Defensively, we're talking about the Pacers' defense and how much more improved and on a string they were in this game versus game 2. He had 5 blocks in this one. I thought him, Pascal, Obi, they did a great job. Once OKC players did get in the paint, they weren't getting the same quality of looks they got in games 1 and 2. They got down there and they just, to a large degree, it just got swallowed up. You didn't see anything anymore. So maybe the ball, you saw the ball pop out of bounds and trying to figure out whose ball it was. But for the most part, they took care of a lot of that. TJ McConnell's energy was crazy. Again, talking about having your role players step out, but 49 bench points in a finals game is crazy. And how well conditioned the Pacers are. They've been wearing folks out all season. That's why they don't go away, because physically they're not going away. It's easy. It's easier to not get lost mentally where physically you're fine. Physically is usually not an issue for them. It's just not an issue. Now, foul trouble, bad decision, things of that nature, of course. I think game 2, we talked about the Pacers' fast break points. I think it was like less than 10 in that game. This one, it was 17, which isn't a lot, but it's quite. It's close to double what it was. I think it was 9 game 2, right?
Yeah.
Where we saw exactly how fast they want to play. And again, a lot of that had to do with their defense. Great point by you. With Tyrese getting to play off the ball, their guy got to be fresh for most of this game because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to that clip, SGA was going through it. And he's getting defended by every player the Pacers have on their roster that goes into the game, spends some time on SGA. Again, I'm interested to see how they respond to that, because that's something where are you really going to just take the ball out of his hands? I don't know how much they've done that this year. OKC has. And Lamb really play off ball. Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you this question. Who on OKC do you trust or at least are concerned with running point? Looking at Tyrod, who are you concerned with running point?
You're fine with it.
But who can run that team and still get theirs and do it? That's my point. They don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
So you wear him down, you give them a big blow. Now Jalen Williams tried to make up for it. You know what I'm saying? He's not a facilitator. He's a finisher, defender. They don't really have anyone. Cason Wallace is capable. I don't think he's ready for prime time right now. He's young. You know what I'm saying? He ain't ready for this right now. But the Pacers point guard depth, if Tyrese don't got it, Nembhard is a capable point guard, and he's starting. He's a natural point guard. He's played point guard his entire life. He's just playing off the ball because that's the role he is. But he can play point if you need him to. You also got TJ McConnell, obviously. You got Ben Shepherd. Hell, you got Shockham and those guys. Obi was a guard most of his life, so he hit the growth spurt and got the cut. Like, you got guys that are comfortable bringing the ball up and making sound decisions. That's the key. So, you could try to suffocate Halliburton, but it's even tougher to do that because they throwing him off the ball now, but still giving him the dribble handoff and stuff. Now run the offense, and that's how you saw him getting open, coming off screens instead of from the top of the key where they can key in on him. He's coming from the elbow, from the corner, and then they scrambling. They confused on if they should blitz him or not, because they don't know if he's the guy looking to score. He's initiating the offense, and he just reading what they're doing. You in drop coverage, let me step back at this 3. You blitzing, here you go, my son. Let me go past you, get in the paint. Mathurin cutting back door, boom. Or let me go score my damn self. If I miss, Obi Toppin coming over everybody dunking it home. And it just, as a defender, you looking at all the ways they score, and then your mind scrambling like, what do we need to slow down the most? But everything is like a tidal wave; it just keeps coming. Mm-hmm. And that's what you saw tonight. So yeah, OKC, the coaches they got to do something, man, because I think the Pacers have figured out not to stop SGA, but contain him enough to pull out another win, man. I think they have, man, because he was worn down because he had to work so hard on both ends.
Yeah. And again, to the Pacers and what they have going on in the half court and how well they execute, the timeliness of their cuts are absurd. For 4 quarters last night, you got people cutting off folks' shoulders. Like, it's running backs going through offensive line at times. Like, it's that tight, some of these cuts. And again, we got so used to we're in this age where everybody kind of plays the same way. When you drive baseline, you're looking to swing it to the opposite corner. There's another swing to the top for another 3-pointer. They're driving baseline, and there's a cutter coming from 2 ignorant beyond angles. And like you said, you're a defense in today's NBA. You are used to that ball's going to the corner. That ball's going back out to the wing. The Pacers forwards we're eating so much cutting. And Matherin did it. Matherin made a living last night just cutting off the ball. A tremendous job by him, all of them with their timely cuts, man. It was crazy. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing how OKC deals with that. But for one team to have that many capable, not just folks that can handle the ball, but folks that are comfortable, that many capable decision makers is a luxury in the finals. That's huge because those decisions, bad decisions could change games. Another thing that happened last night, OKC, don't know, could have been a product of the fatigue or whatnot. They missed, I think, 7 free throws last night.
Yeah.
It's something to keep an eye on. Yeah, it was 7 last night. And I know they lost by more than 7, obviously. But again, to your point, when you talk about their shooting splits, they were there for the most part. Those were great splits for a road team in the playoffs, let alone a road team in the finals. But yeah, I think that pace, man, and that's something to keep an eye on too. I think that pace, if Indiana is able to dictate the pace, yeah. Obviously, it's only the first game in Indiana. They got another one to go. I think that's Friday. But yeah, that was a big win for them last night.
Absolutely, man. So this is a fun series, man. If you like basketball, if you're the casual fan, who cares? But real basketball people should appreciate this because it's a hell of a chess match going on. And like that, to me, it's I'm not going to say it's a must-win for – obviously, it's going to be tough, but I think it's a must-win for both because if you're the Pacers, you don't want to go back to OKC tired. And OKC, if you're OKC, you don't want to go back home down 3-1. You know what I mean? Get eliminated on your home court after the season you had. So, at this stage, it's just a must-win for both. You know what I mean? Because both teams are trying to figure it out. Like I said, one team has champions on that side, the other one they don't. So they're trying to figure it out. And you started, and you kind of seen that come into play in Game 3 with the coach Rick Carlisle having a ring and championship finals experience, and then obviously Patrick Siakam. So we're gonna see, man. But I'm loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's been tremendous finals thus far. I'm gonna leave the player of the game alone. X Factor in this one. Who do you have as X Factor?
Probably you got to obviously go with Benedict Mathurin. It's tough because TJ has such a huge impact as well, man. But Benedict is scoring 27 off the bench, 9 to 12, 2 or 3 from deep, 7 to 8. 4 rebounds, plus 16. He had the second highest plus minus in the game behind Obi. And you getting that off the bench, man. That's huge, man. Because I'm going back to Game 1. I'm looking at him. He was 1 for 5, had 5 points. Game 2, better, 14 points, 4 for 7. So now he got 27. His confidence is through the roof now. Now he like, yeah, can nobody guard me? And he might very well, if they win it, we might look back and be very well. He was the X factor in the series because they couldn't guard him last night. It wasn't just a cuss. He 1-on-1. Like they couldn't guard him. Like he's super physical, super. Like we know how he get down because every time he come to DC, he put on the show. But yeah, he high motor offensive player, and that's rare. Like he brings it to you. Like he don't wait for the defender to he hits you as an offensive player, but then he can get on the other end and give it back too. So, he's a talented player, man. You see it both, man. He's versatile, man. Like I said, he can play anywhere through the 1-2, in some spurts, but 2-3, and he like Jalen Williams had 26, but he was a -9. That's because Pascal and Benedict, he had a long night. he had to deal with 2 dudes that had it going at the same time, man, and that was a big reason why they didn't win, man. So it's gonna be tough, but yeah, I gotta go with Benedict, man.
Yeah, I definitely agree with it being Benedict and how he plays. You talked about his high motor, just his natural disposition, the size he has. That's the perfect type of player you need to combat what OKC has on the perimeter. The type of defenders OKC has. You have to have somebody who wants to hunt those guys. Otherwise, you know what those dudes are capable of doing. That's why the Thunder have been so freaking successful this year. those dudes are used to. They're usually the ones being the aggressors on the defensive end of the floor. And Benedict went hunting last night. The last 2 games, last night for sure. But
how do you feel about OKC bringing Hartenstein off the bench after he's been starting throughout the playoffs for this series?
I think that's one of the things where I think I know Daigneault's a good coach. That was one of those things where you didn't have to mess with anything. And I think if we look back, that might have been the thing that kind of got this. I don't want to say that's the thing that lost the series, but that might have been the thing that maybe you get off to a better start. You set the tone for this series. Maybe you don't lose that first game if you didn't mess with your continuity.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it was maybe a sign of just somebody overthinking a little bit too much where, again, on the other side, you got Rick who's been here before. We do what we do and then we'll adjust.
I'm with you.
I just think you didn't have to do it. And sometimes in series, some series are so close, those little moments of indecision or what have you, you could lose a series like that. Again, I want to make it clear. I'm not saying that's why if they do lose, that's why it happened. But that's going to be a part of it.
Because to me, it basically tells the other team, we know you have that advantage and we're worried about it. So, and I know Bill Russell at the old interview, he's talking about Red Auerbach, basically like, why don't he scout? I guess he was like, Red Auerbach didn't really scout other teams. He's like, why don't you do that when other teams are scouting them? He's like, I'm worried about what we got to do. To hell with them. They got to worry about what we coming with. And we adjust when we see what's going on, man. But if we do what we supposed to do, what they seeing or what it won't even matter. And that's just confidence, man. So you kind of do that. It sends, to me, it just sends the wrong message. As slight as it is, that it's like we worried about something. What they worried about, maybe they felt like he couldn't keep up with the pace. But I'm like, he kept up with it for the last 3 series, unless it's an injury or something we don't know about. But I'm just like, Shed good, man, talented. He's too light, man. He's too light in that paint, man. You need some grown man muscle up in there. Like you need some dudes that can throw it around. And you saw it. You really saw it last night, man. You really saw it in Game 3 with the way they were living in the paint, man. Like it was no fear. Like even though Shaq and he got a lot of length, he's tall. Man, if you go into his chest, he's going back every time. Like it ain't. I saw Kenyon Martin talk about Game 2, I believe. Obi Toppin drove baseline and he tried to float it, and he played into Holmgren's hands and he blocked that joint into the stands. And he was like, "Bro, you one of the most athletic people on the planet. Mm-hmm. Like you go between your legs and dunk routinely in the game. Go through his chest and put him in the basket." And he said that's where mentality. He says mentality. He like me. But we all know how Kenyon got down. He definitely would have he'd have tried to take that boy torso, like he would have put him in the basket for sure. Like that's what you do to any rim protector, let alone one that's not intimidating physically and stuff like that. So you put in a lot, and then even Miles Turner, he didn't shoot well, but my man ain't really. I mean, he's defending. All you got to do is defend on the perimeter, which is easy. He ain't got to bang and defend on the perimeter like he was doing with the Knicks and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, you making this life easier. So I just think, yeah, man. And then the little things, those Chet screens don't hit the same as Hartenstein screens when SGA trying to navigate, bro. It's just not the same. Like, trust, defenders ain't worried about that. I can hit him, knock him, and you SGA. You helping us. So it's little things, man. And yeah, man, if they lose the series, that will be brought up a lot, dog, because it's no need. You ain't even started to play yet.
I think it was, I know they value Chet and everything, just a year too early for this. You didn't have, there was no reason to make that move. Also, with your roster, looks like Hartenstein's the only big with some to him. You needed it. You got a team who loves getting downhill.
And you small, man. There you go. Jalen 6'6", Lou 6'3", 6'4", Chet 7'1", SGA 6'6", Kaysen 6'3". You small. Pascal 6'8", 6'9". Aaron Ness is 6'6", Miles 7 foot. Tyrese 6'4", Nembhard 6'4". You small because of the Stockholm matchup. Like you small inside. Like he's your 4. So, and I get it, you trying to match up with that, but that's what I'm saying. Why are we trying to match up with you? You like if we impose our will execute, you gonna have to match up with us.
And then that's where I think went left at. Is that part of it? You didn't even give it a chance to see if the thing you've been doing all year was gonna make the Pacers react some type of way. And by you doing that, like you said you were worried about something. You literally just threw up not a white flag, but you threw up like a sign essentially like, hey, this is something we're concerned with. And look, man, and the other thing is usually for OKC, that hasn't come into play too much outside of the Denver series, right? Was it Denver? Because obviously they play Denver. They played Denver, right?
No. Who played Denver? Yeah,
my bad.
Yeah, they did play Denver.
They did play Denver because
they went 7
right,
games.
because they got pushed 7 because Joke and Aaron Gordon, they didn't have an answer for either of them two. They just couldn't deal with the physicality in there. But having the advantage was their perimeter guys and the pressure they could put on. That's a wash here with the Pacers. So now that issue in the paint, it's a legitimate issue now. Because that versatility advantage you had, bro, both y'all, all y'all got the same similar things. Cool, whatever. But down there, like you said, Pascal 6'9", Obi's 6'8", 6'9". Miles is 7. Thomas Bryant 6'10". What is 6'9", 6'10"? He's in the neighborhood. Bro, it matters. Then also when Hartenstein is not in there, you're not getting offensive rebounds. Pacers are getting that, and they're gone.
Yeah, little things. And like I said, it's the little, even the screens, like that big body. As a guard, you need that big body come off of. That makes the defender have to work. It's more contact. It wears them down. So now they don't pressure SGA as much. And that, like, they might have to start them again, man. And then it's going to be like, is it too little, too late, man? It's just, I felt like that was probably an analytics call. And I'm just like, bro, you got to play basketball. We do what we got to say. Now, if it's that bad where he's just so ineffective, yeah, we'll make the adjustment. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of the game. You got to make adjustments within the game, within the finals, man. You see what I'm saying? Like, one adjustment that comes to mind is I remember at '98 when the Bulls played the Pacers. They thinking, all right, they put Pippen on Mark Jackson, pressure him, wear him down so he can't take his time. Because Mark Jackson's a big guard who love to back you down and stuff, take his time, and he was a great facilitator. He can run the team. But now you got Pippen ball hawking. It ain't as easy to get the ball with time to pass to Reggie so he can come off screens and knock down shots, Chris Mullin and all that. So what did Larry Bird do to counteract that? He played Jalen Rose more. He played Travis Best more, who were more scorers and stuff that will attack. Now Pippen got to go get Jalen because Jordan on Reggie. You see that Travis Best on it. You see what I'm saying? It took that whole matchup thing away. You see what I'm saying? So that's the chess game. Now we just gonna see who can execute best, man. And that's what you get at this point in time in the series, man. So like I feel like he took Hartenstein out of the series, man, because Hartenstein really hasn't had any impact, but he really hasn't had a chance to have an impact. You know what I'm saying? So he can muck the game up. Like he can muck the game up and that can be to your advantage. Yeah. Right now, especially in game 3, basically what TJ McConnell's doing, Hartenstein should be able to do that for you. The way he's making the impact, how he mucking up the game, he in there physical, getting offensive rebounds, stealing the ball. Well, Hartenstein should be able to get offensive rebounds, block shot, alter shots, set good screens, get guys open, roll the basket, finish strong and stuff. It's just a man, nah, bro, man. I just don't. It doesn't make any sense, man.
I remember going into the series when I saw they changed the line, but I was just like, no, what are you doing? You don't have
announced it. You wouldn't have known that till we went off a jump ball, dog. Like, you gonna do that?
Because I remember I think it came out like a couple hours before tip off, and I'm like, what are you doing? And like you said, to your point, y'all would have just found out when he wasn't out there when you left the bench to go to the center circle. Like, that's
like I know the NBA does that because you know how we get emails before the games and they send us tell us the star lineup, but it's been plenty of times they change it right before tip. You know, like it's the finals. I ain't gotta give you look, man. You see when you see it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. We're gonna see how I go on Friday. But yeah, man, this it done got interesting, man.
Yeah, I think some of the things that happen, I don't know if OKC's gonna be able to put some of that stuff back in the bottle.
Nah, because the Pacers confident now. You could just tell, like, yeah, we got them. Because now I think they got a better feel for who they can attack. Like they're strong defense, but certain players have advantages, man. And then you could tell game 3 they kind of cracked the code. Because even I've seen, I'm like, Benedict, Jalen struggles with Benedict. Hold on, dog. He's struggling with Benedict and Obi. He's struggling, man. Like Lou Dort was struggling. He was struggling trying to find Halliburton when he can't see him. Like, you know, like
yeah. When it's not, you're not lined up directly right there in the static. Yeah. Them dudes were flying around and moving off the ball. It's
Kaysen struggled with Nembhard, man. And Nembhard wasn't even trying to get buckets like that. No, just run. Taking what y'all give me, man.
Yeah, and that's a hell of a luxury they have. That you have multiple guys who've led teams, you know what I'm saying? Who've played point guard, not, hey, I play some one, but legit point guards. That's a luxury. It's a freaking luxury. And then, you talked earlier, Pascal's been another one of those dudes. He's been a secondary ball handler for a while for teams he's played on, where he's played a big role in bringing it up and making decisions, what have you. Yeah, man.
But it's just my last point, man. It's just Pacers got basketball players. That's what I call basketball players. People define good basketball players by how much you score, but if you want dimensional, you're not a good basketball player to me. And you know what I'm saying? Because if we stop you from scoring, you make no impact. We're going to have to sit you. But they got guys that can dribble, pass, shoot, defend, rebound. That's what defines you as a good basketball player. Then you got to add in that tangibles. And if you're mentally tough, you're athletic, you're physically tough, all that other stuff to really round you out as a player. But everybody can do that, like dribble, pass, shoot, defend, rebound. That's why they are. TJ McConnell, the smallest in the series, and he going in there. What do you get? Yeah, he had one rebound last night, but that was the offensive joint that gave him got the offensive joint rebound and passed it quick to Mathurin for the basket. You know what I'm saying? So, like, he'd get in there and stick his nose in there and get it done, man. You see what I'm saying? So, man, I mean, they got to figure out something, man, because this is not the way. It's not going to end well if it keeps going like this, man.
Yeah, and like you said, obviously both teams need to win game 4, but OKC, the last thing you want to do while these dudes is building confidence, do not leave this building 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Just be real honest. Them the type that might, again, how their confidence is building, they won't even, like, they already got one off of you in your building, and they didn't play great in that game. They almost turned the ball over 30 times. So, hey man, it's things you just can't do. Now you go back home down 3-1, man. There's a chance only one team's leaving there, leaving OKC. It might be the Pacers coming home to celebrate. Yeah, again, some of the stuff tonight was kind of crazy, and we've seen slowly but surely. I still don't think the Pacers have played really, really well yet in this series. I think it's been like progressively. We've seen them kind of get more and more comfortable as every game that's going on. And obviously OKC's played a big role in that. Their defense is fucking amazing. But
signed a great coaching though, because they did that in the next series. And they've done that in the next series. You'd be like, all right, the Knicks got them. They got them on the ropes. Next thing you know, they coming back. Then they pull out the win. You seen that same thing, man. Like, people don't understand when you say 48 minutes, you got to play against them. Every now and then you can knock them out. Like, I think OKC got them in game 2. They knocked them out because they just came out, got at them. But game 1, similar. They pulled it out with the game 1 and they ain't played well. And OKC, game 3. Early in the fourth quarter, OKC was up by like 4 points.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden it was like a 12-0 run. And they just stayed out in front and won the game. You got to play the full quarter. They don't go away, but that's a sign of great coaching. Like they're making adjustments on the fly. And that's why you said second and fourth quarter, they thoroughly outplayed OKC. That's adjustments from quarter to quarter. And when OKC, all right, we're going to adjust to that, and they figure that out, we're going to throw something else at you. And it's taking them too long on OKC side to counteract that. Like I could see for about, a little run, 3-minute run or something, you get me. All right, timeout. We got to fix this shit. This shit getting out of hand. But nah, man, it's taking them a whole quarter to figure it out. And you can't afford that in the finals. You're going to get beat quick.
Facts. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys Friday night after Game 4. OKC is going to be trying to even this series at 2 games apiece.